Hello and welcome back to the Gold Split podcast. I am CC Neverender.
And I am Squidbird.
And we are joined today by our host, our friend, our guest, CJ. It's all good.
I'm
CJ
two out of
Neverender.
CJ Never Lemon. I'm 2 out of 3 of those things.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes,
how y'all? Thank you for having me. How are y'all?
Yeah, our pleasure.
We Gucci.
Gucci gang. So, how have you been, my dude?
Dude, living the dream,
Living
out
the
here.
dream, living the meme.
Oh, dude, I found a picture of my stepdad, and apparently he used to make his own clothes for his kids. Like before I met them, he used to make his family's clothes, and he also used to have really, really thin black hair and a really, really thin black mustache. And so it looks like he has, because all of his daughters are blonde with blue eyes. It looks like he's like trying to be like a neo-Nazi.
That's
Wow,
It's
unfortunate.
it's a real. I don't want to meme him, but I'll show you guys the picture later. It's really funny.
that's incredible. Truly remarkable.
Truly remarkable.
We got a little bit off on a tangent.
Hey,
It's all good.
man.
That's a
So,
little about podcast. Is a little bit of tangent.
So, what category of MK64 are we looking at here, CJ?
Right. So, I play almost exclusively no skip categories. Not because I'm a purist, but because I lack ability. So, so not because I think that glitches have no place in speedrunning, but rather because I am unable to do them. So, this is 150cc no skips, all cups for Mario Kart 64.
All right.
And the other category for this game is skips, but again, too hard.
Right. And I'm pretty certain that the skips category is a little bit more competitive and a little bit more active. But how is the community with this no skips category?
So, as far as the Mario Kart community goes, they've been really active for a really long time, like predating like modern internet. Like there were Mario Kart like newsletters in like the late 90s, right? So like times would get broken. The time trials community in particular is super active, and for the uninitiated, it's very competitive, right? And there's a lot of people running time trials, and skips kind of gets a lot of attention, but when you really strip back who's running skips, it's really just Abney. It's a lot, and not just Abney. There's a lot of people that run skips, and it is a popular category. There's a lot of runs in it, but it is a lot of like just one person just smashing the record over and over and over again. Where in time trials, there is one person that has, I think, most of the ILs, and they are like, but there's a lot of people in that community running that, and there are people picking it up all the time.
Nice.
So,
Is the one person with the ILs? Is his name Matthias? I think.
yeah, I think Matthias. I was gonna say Spunkmeyer, but I think that's a brand of cookies.
Yeah, definitely.
Otis Spunkmeyer is definitely a brand of cookies. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Matthias. There's a really cool video, I think by
Rustmeyer, I think might be his last name.
Yeah, by RW Goose. What about that dude?
Yeah.
And like his quest for all the
friends.
ILs. Yeah. He has a video, that dude. I don't know that dude from Adam. So if he ever listens to this, I'm sorry. But he has a video of him sitting in a log cabin in front of a fireplace in a rocking chair. And my immediate impression of him is that he wants to be the guy from Parks and Rec.
Oh, Swanson or whatever his name is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going for a Ron Swanson vibe, but
That's
You'd
an
be
interesting theory.
surprised. I'll order a number 5. That's a party platter, sir, that serves 12 people. I know what I'm about, son.
All right, so how about we jump into this run?
Alright, cool. So, just one other thing I'm going to mention before we get started, because I think it's important for the run. You're gonna see me doing a lot of movements, and I'll point them out. The main movement in this game that makes you go faster is mini turbos. So there's the initial boost in the beginning that everybody kind of knows, but the one source of movement that people are potentially more unfamiliar with is like the drifting and releasing. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of drifting and releasing to help maintain a higher speed. And the run kind of starts in the character select. The 3 fastest characters are Peach, Toad, and Yoshi. Toad is the lightest, so Toad spins out like over his own 2 feet, and he's utterly useless, and I hate him. But he's like really helpful and skips because I think he like flies. I like it's easier to do like the spiral jump with him and stuff. But I really prefer Yoshi. Like if I'm doing no skips runs, I always do Yoshi. He's just a little bit heavier. He doesn't get spun out as easily, and I think he controls the best out of the 3. So for the category, there's 3 characters you can pick. I normally pick Yoshi.
Cool. And I was gonna ask something about the character select, but you pretty much answered everything there.
Cool.
Because I know, like, I'm more familiar with Mario Kart 8, specifically Deluxe 200cc. And I was curious as to, like, how important is the character selection in this run?
I've seen people get pretty decent times with, like, meme characters. Like, people have done runs with Wario and Mario and Luigi. Like, that have gone pretty far. I mean, I've watched streams where they play as all the characters, whatever. I think it's just like, I mean, you could get a decent time with any of those characters, but to get a better time, you need to be a lightweight character. In an 8D, which I also run, I think part of the meta is the Wario or Dry Bowser on the Wiggler with the roller wheels. So it's like, it's almost like to the contrary. It's like, in Double Dash and Mario Kart 64, you want to play as the lightest characters possible. You know, the kart, there is more kart options in the later games. But you want to play as the lighter characters, and in that one you want to be as like a heavy boy.
Right. Yeah, so. I know that in 8D that there was, I don't know if it's still like this, but metal characters were the favorites in using a bitty buggy and rollers.
Yeah,
and something about that combination just works really well, especially in 200cc.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that much about 8D because I just started it, but yeah, that game definitely has like a huge matrix. There's a whole website that lets you like build a car that's like, hey, this is the stats for this car, and you can use any parts you want. It's really useful. I think it's in under the resources tab on Mario Kart 8D. But I'm gonna start the run.
Go for it, man.
All right, and one last thing, we're running against balanced PB because my PB is shite. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Nice.
And
when you start, you hit up on the C pad to zoom out.
Does that save time?
It just kind of like gives you a better view of the cart. Like you can zoom in, you'll feel like you're going slow.
Is it mainly just personal preference, or does everybody do that?
I think a lot of people do it. Like, if you don't do it, then you're like super tight view. The goal is to try and hug these turns as like tight as possible. So the rules for no skips is obviously you can't use glitches. There are a couple rare exceptions that I'll like come to as we get there. They're not really like skips that let you skip parts of the track, but like there's an item glitch on Koopa Troopa Beach which I'll try and point out, and there's a couple of little things that make this run interesting. If you hit B the second that you hit a banana, I got a third. Okay, so I got a really lucky star. I got like a third place star. So I can just skip over all this extra terrain, which I normally wouldn't be able to. So I just got a 31-second lap. That might be like a personal best for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The items are like determined by your position, right?
And rip the time save.
Is it based off of like the timing of when you hit it? You can choose, or I don't.
So your position in the race gives you an opportunity to earn several items, and it's like 5% chance. First place, like, you can't earn certain items in first place, right?
Okay, I was gonna ask if it's like a 0% chance.
Yeah. That was really good.
Nice.
31 seconds.
Between these transition screens, the fastest way to do it is to hold start and mash A. Alright, there we go. Moo Farm sucks. Moo Farm has these moles that pop up.
And are those
of
just
course,
completely RNG?
Yeah. There's like a route you can take that lets you skip some of them, that, like, lets you miss them. But, I mean, yeah, you're just kind of, like I said, you want to be as tight up against the turns as possible in a lot of places. I just spun out because I'm a nub. With these lightweight characters too, there's an option to triple tap A to regain your speed faster. So
How does that work?
When I don't actually know the mechanics behind it, but I know that if you triple tap A, you go from like 0 to 60 way faster.
Interesting.
I just got a boo. I've actually been getting pretty decent boos. I should have used this like a little later, but if you get boos here, then you can just go straight through the moles.
Yeah.
Right.
See, this one you kind of want to go there, and then you want to like ride out towards the fence going down. And again, I spun out, but I got a 25-second lap there.
A is
The first one was
accelerate,
like a
right?
20. Yes.
Okay. So you accelerate. Huh, interesting. I'd have to look into it, but it sounds
How
like.
often do you use the brake? Oh, I'm sorry for cutting you off.
How often do I use the brake? I try not to, unless I hit bananas. Also, this controller's a little, like, needs to be broken in. Oh, I hit a mole. And we're going to get first anyway, but...
Bowser just ran into the pole. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, not a really good, not a great Moo Farm. I'm about 3 seconds over my sum of best right now, but it's not, like, terrible.
You did spin out a couple times, but beyond that, I think it was pretty clean.
Alright. This one is, like, one of the ones that, like, people who've never, like, seen the game get like, not confused by, but obviously this is a shortcut. This doesn't actually count as a shortcut, the famous Koopa Troopa tunnel, whatever.
Right.
Like, a skip in this is, like, a glitch that lets you skip, like, a large portion.
Right. This is a developer
Of the
intended.
Yeah, so this is part of the game. So I have a mushroom, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to hit this jump, and then we go. And then I'm going to not hit the trees.
Nice.
Good, that's a really good one. Then we're going to go like this to skip a large part of it. I'm not going to hit the crabs.
Does hitting the water affect your speed at all, or your
Yes.
movement?
So a little bit, but the trying to get an angle for the mini turbo kind of offsets it. In general, I had another mushroom that's pretty lucky. Oh, whatever. All right, so sometimes that can happen. The ground leading up to it is uneven, which is unfortunate. Another mushroom. We'll try the item glitch just while we're here. Why not, right? So, basically, there's a polygon. Oh, never mind, I didn't get the item. Never mind. So you see I briefly was in 8th place there.
Right.
So, I said that the items give you a chance to get items based on what position you're in. So there, if you go to the right of the finish line, the game will think that you're in 8th place. And so if you collect an item at that exact time, while you're traveling through that polygon, while you're in 8th place, you'll have the opportunity to get an item that you normally won't be able to get. So on this map,
that's
you're
smart.
able to get 2 items that are like better than average.
That's
Like
really
you have the
cool.
opportunity to get a golden mushroom or a star or whatever, or you could get 2 lightning bolts or whatever. But it gives you that opportunity for the brief second that you're in 8th place.
Are there any other things like that in the other stages?
I think that there's something like that in Royal Raceway, but don't. No, Koopa Troopa Beach in general is like weird.
Now, I saw you got, like, you lost 10 seconds to missing that tunnel. Is that generally how much time it saves?
Yeah. You want to hit that tunnel hard. Man, this
Ooh.
is not great.
Is this train RNG, or is it on a cycle?
So, the train is on the same cycle. I didn't hit the turbo in the beginning, so. Oh boy.
Oh.
Part of me really wants to reset this. This is not no good, but we're gonna keep going because the train cycle won't be that bad for the rest of this. So yeah, the train's basically on like a set schedule. It doesn't really go through the tunnel. It feels like it's like just kind of does its own thing.
Feels like it just skips from one end to the other.
Yeah, it like appears at certain times. Like I don't think the train will be a problem the rest of the way. But yeah, doing the jump is basically non-negotiable. Now, there's a backup strat that you can do. Okay.
Nice.
So, fun fact, enemies cannot use shells. So that was my shell that I fired off at some point that came back and hit me out of nowhere.
Sniper.
Yeah,
I didn't
sniper,
know
get
that enemies can't use shells in this one.
They cannot. And shells also persist. So, all these shells that I'm getting, any shell that's on the ground, totally mine. What I was saying was that there's a backup where you can like go at the wall, and if you jump when you hit the wall, the game will make you like jump up like along the wall, kind of like you're like flying upwards, and it'll make you jump higher than you normally can, and it'll cause you to be able to get into that hole normally. I'm not great at that backup, but it's an option.
How much practice goes into this game? Is it usually just like keep doing runs and you learn as you go, or is there like anything you have to do like off?
I've said that Mario Kart games are like a really I'm doing everything wrong.
Oof.
So I'm guessing that whenever you beat that one tournament or whatever, the one cup, that it saves instantly and then you can just reset. Or
it doesn't matter. All you have to do is cross the finish line on all of them. You don't have to go to the cup finish.
Right.
So you don't start with a new file. You just have to finish all of them in one segment. So you can't it's spliced together or run or anything. I'll try having a good rest of this run just to try and pull something out here, but this run's pretty borked. So what I was saying was, Mario Kart games in general, I find are really good games for people who have never speedrun something before, because the point of this game is to go fast and like try and go faster.
Right, it's a racing game, which is mostly what speedrunning is.
Yeah, but it has like built-in things that make it like better, especially this one. This one I've always felt is a good like. I got hit with a.
Oof.
Yeah, the RNG is not looking favorable on me today. But blue shell, suck a toad. I okay. One of the things that makes this game really easy for me is because it has a timer in the top right-hand corner, right? And when you're done, it gives you lap times.
So you can like see.
So
how
it's
well
like
you've done.
you can see what a 28 is on Luigi's Raceway, and then compare that to or you can see what a 28 is on Moo Moo Farm, and you can compare that to a 25.
Right.
And you can be like, okay, this is a 25 because this is what happened. I didn't hit a mole. I didn't spin out 4 times. This is what that looks like, right? When you do these things, this is the time that you'll get, as long as you're not like bad everywhere else, right?
Right.
Or it's like, I was able to incorporate more mini turbos, and when I do that, this is how much time that saves.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, I can remember my laps after I do a track, and then I can go from there, right? So that's what really helps me, and I think it's a really valuable tool for new speedrunners.
That's a very neat feature.
Does this one have a ghost feature in like time trials?
It does.
Okay.
It doesn't help so much because 150. So time trials is 100 cc, and this category is running 150. But it does have a time trial ghost. I got a second place star, so we'll take it, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah. You should be chaining mini turbos with this as well, but I've already kind of screwed the pooch a little bit on this track, so I'm just trying to play carefully. These 2 buses are a real pain. If you hold a mini turbo for too long, you'll like stop and like have to restart it. So that's why I kind of released it a little early there.
I had a question on the golden mushroom. because whenever I used to play this game as a kid, I would just spam it, just nonstop. Is there like an ideal way to use it?
If you get it, you should be using them into mini turbos.
Okay.
So like you should be like mini turbo mushroom or mushroom mini turbo mushroom into mini turbo, because in this game it adds on to your speed. Like in Double Dash, I know it doesn't. It does the opposite. It slows you down. But in this one, it's faster. This is one of my better tracks, so hopefully I'll have some redemption here. So basically the only main thing that you have to worry about on this one is the snow people. There's like little snowmen that are around. They explode if you hit them. It's kind of you're gonna have a bad time if you do it. And they're in a couple of interesting places. Or you can get hit by Wario, because Wario is Wario. This is actually one of my favorite maps, and it actually, on the skip side of it, has a really easy skip that anybody can do. If you reverse at the beginning of this map, and you just turn around, whatever, I think you have to touch a certain polygon. Don't quote me. But then you can drive off to the right in the snowbank, and what happens is you'll finish the finish line, complete a lap, and then Lakitu will put you back where you were, which is the last place you were in bounds, which was behind the finish line. So in skips, you can just like do that, and you have like a 5-second lap, a 9-second lap, and like a 5-second lap.
That's
Right? Because you can just do that like really, really quick.
That seems to be a common feature in a lot of Mario Kart games and levels. And stuff.
Exploiting where Lakitu will drop you is like a huge part of the skips community.
I remember there's one, I think it's the Wii one, where one of the stages there's like a rock, like an oval-shaped rock that's just right next to the starting line, and you can go forward on the rock and then like spin reverse and then go forward again, reverse, go forward again, and then you get all three laps. You have to do a full lap and then use a jump towards the end to like land on the rock, and then you can do it. So you got to do one full lap, and the rest of it you just got to.
Right. No, it's
Cheese
definitely like Mario Kart games in general are kind of like buggy. They spend a lot of time making sure like the carts run good and that items are like so unsatisfactory to use. It's like actually my biggest complaint with these games is that aside from this one and 8 where you can turn off items, most Mario Kart games are ass.
That's your personal opinion.
It is a perfectly valid opinion and a fact. Mario Kart Double Dash is like awful. That game,
Damn.
I don't know why. It's like when developers make a game and they're like, "Hey, wouldn't it be awesome if we put in characters that have nothing but knockback effects? Like that just sounds fun.
Yeah.
Just getting booped all over the place. That is awesome. That's the kind of game I want to play." Right? It's like, "Oh wow. Oh, I got hit with this gun and it means I can't use my character and I'm also flying backwards against my will." Oh, that's kind of neat, I guess. Oh, and he can do it because his cooldown is faster than the wear-off time? Oh. Huh.
I never said it was a perfect game.
And in that case, it's like, in that game, right, it's like, Double Dash, it's like, oh, hey, you just got hit by a blue shell. But this other comm got a blue shell, and he's totally using it right now. Oh, and you also are going to get hit by the heaviest character in the game, who's going to drive right through you. And you're going to get hit by a star from 8th place, because that's how far you've come. You went from being in first, and with 3 items, a heavyweight opponent, and a star, now you are in last. And not only are you in last, the rubber banding is so borked that you have no hope of getting anywhere near the beginning. So just reset.
Mm.
So I heard you mention that Mario Kart is like a great introduction to speedrunning. Is that part of the reason why you decided to run this game, or do you just really like Mario Kart?
I try to run the games of the people that I like to watch, right?
Uh-huh.
So my first speed game was Mario Party 3. because I shout out. He's I know he'll love the shout out. The Animal Sounds. First time I ever watched him, he was doing speed runs of Mario Party 3. And so that was the first speed game I ever did because I had watched him do it, right? So I had watched his pitfalls, I had listened to his like extensive commentary on it, right? Whatever value that added or didn't add.
Right.
Right? And then I was like, okay, I have some notes here because I'm a meticulous note taker. And I'm like, I think I can do this. So I got a splitter and was like, hey, we're going to do this. And likewise with this, I really liked Abney. Like, I like watching Abney when I was like a casual, do nothing, sit on my couch and watch Twitch boy. Right? And I would just watch Abney and whoever else was playing Mario Kart, and I would just like watch them like all the time, and I would take notes. That's how I realized I have no skill for skips because I tried for 3 months and didn't get anywhere. Right?
Right.
And so it's like I just play the games of the people that I like to watch. I'm like, oh, well, I really like playing this game. I have some notes on it, I guess. Maybe I can try that.
So were you inspired to start speedrunning because of Dan?
Yeah, actually, I was inspired to start streaming because of that dude, because I really liked the time that me and my, ex-wife now, would spend together watching his streams. Like, we would, sit on the couch and watch him stream and interact with the chat. And I really liked that experience, and I was like, wow, maybe I can create this experience for somebody else. And they can hang out with their ex-wife watching someone play Mario Party for 5 hours.
It's very specific. I don't know if anybody does that.
Well, no one does it anymore. So, no, but I totally got into streaming because of that. I was playing Overwatch, and I was like, no one wants to watch me play Overwatch, and I'm a silver. So nobody wants to watch me play Overwatch. And I was like, maybe someone will want to watch me speedrun? And the answer is kind of, but not really.
Depends. Speedrunning on Twitch is one of those things where it's like either you're like a great personality, you're really good, or it's a really crazy, interesting game. If you can get one of those three things, then you'll probably find an audience. But if you're like not really good at a game that has 8,000 runners, but only 2 major community members, and you're just kind of not that chatty, you probably won't find an audience on Twitch.
I don't want people to think that I only started streaming because I wanted to be Twitch famous.
Right.
So I'll clarify this. I thought, hey, I'll try speedrunning so that people might watch me. But then, when I started speedrunning, I fell in love with it, and I loved the competition of it, and trying to best other people, and that's what really gets me to still play.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, I definitely felt a metamorphosis of what I wanted to do with streaming and speedrunning. I think a lot of people, start off expecting one thing and then just learn something completely different that keeps them going. I started running, and I said this in the Lemon episode, but because I watched Punke play Mario, and I was just curious, I wonder if I can LBLJ. So I spent 2 weeks just doing that. And I got it down, and I was like, all right, cool. I guess I should start streaming this. And do speedruns and stuff. And then just over the course, it's just become really fun, interacting with the community and sharing strats and ideas and just helping each other grow, yet still have a competitive aspect to it and meet cool people. If it wasn't for speedrunning, I wouldn't, have met CC or you or Lemon or anyone from the Snap community. It's really become something much greater than I ever imagined it could be.
Meeting CC was a funny story, right? So this is a true story. I'll tell this story, I guess. So I, one day, was playing in my quest to find out... actually, I had just PB'd in Mario Party 3. But I, back then, was doing 7-hour streams every day. So I would come home from work. I worked 8 hours a day. And I would come home, at like 5 p.m. and I would start streaming until like 8 o'clock, like 1 or 2 in the morning, right? So the Mario Party 3 easy speedruns that I would do, I got caught in the wall, and then I hit the wall. That's cool.
Nice.
So those speedruns that I would do, they were like 5 hours. My first one was 6 hours. So like, and a run could die 4 hours in, and then I would have to fill for 4 hours, right? Like I'm not gonna do another run. 8 hours was like the max for me because I had to get 8 hours of sleep. So I started playing Star Fox 64 right after my streams, just because I liked the game a lot, and I was like, a speedrun in this would be stupid, and I don't really want to play it, but for speedrunning, but I was like, yeah, I mean, I could just play this casually and like get better at it. And this dude shows up in my chat. I'm not gonna name him,
Right.
and he probably won't listen to this ever.
His
Never.
name.
He will never.
That's not his screen name, but. Or we can bleep that. We can bleep that out if we want.
His name was Beep. Okay. So this dude comes in my chat, and for all intents and purposes, like he's kind of a cunt.
Oof. Okay.
Like,
yeah.
he was-
We're gonna bleep that.
Okay. For all intents and purposes, he's kind of like snotty, right?
Right.
And like he's like telling me how to play the game, and I'm like, dude, I haven't played this game in like 10 years, right? Like I get it, but like I get that you know all about the game. He's like, well, surely you know how to do this. I was like, no, I don't, right? So then he goes, well, I'm gonna stream and I'm gonna show you the ropes, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this guy stream, and he's gonna show me the ropes, and I'm gonna be a meticulous notey boy, right? Like I normally am.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a meticulous notey boy taking notes. And he like is like, I normally do score runs or whatever. I don't speed run this. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And he goes, all right, I'm gonna host my friend. He's streaming Pokemon Snap. I'm gonna host him. And I was like, oh boy, he had another winner. And then it was CC. So I was like, oh, this dude's actually kind of cool. And I was like, wait a minute, my favorite band is Coheed. I said, is your name a Coheed and Camry reference? And he's like, yeah. And he was doing like song requests or something, and all of a sudden, like he like penguin, he like starts playing Coheed, and I'm like, oh dude, that's like cool. So I subbed to him right off the bat. I like donated like $20 or something.
That sounds right.
Like that sounds like a CJ thing to do.
That definitely sounds like a CJ thing to do, Mr. Moneybags.
I am not made of money. I am made of other
Sometimes you
things.
act like it.
No, I have a thesis that if you spend your money on other things, then you can't spend your money on dumb shit.
It's fair.
I'm doing everything wrong.
It's okay. Tell the story.
So I was like, oh, okay, CC's kind of cool. So I stopped watching the other dude, and I just started hanging out in CC's chat. And then I started speedrunning. And I was like, oh, Danimal Sounds. I was like, he got me into speedrunning and blah, blah, and I used to watch him all the time. I was watching him before I met CC. And then I'm watching Dan stream one day, and all of a sudden, I realized that CC is Dan's mod. And I was like, what? Like,
Mind blown.
Yeah, I was like confused, right? I was like, oh, I met a Snap runner the other day, Dan, because Dan apparently used to run Snap at some point in his life.
Right.
And I was like, his name was CC. And he's like, oh yeah, CC's my mod. And you're like, yo.
I have a funny story.
Hilarious.
I have a funny story with the Small World. And you know what? I forgot what I was going to say. God damn it.
Ooh.
Son of a bitch.
All right, while CC tries to remember, Squid, why don't you tell your favorite CJ story?
My favorite CJ story.
I'm putting you
Oh.
on the spot.
Okay, I remember what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
All right.
So, the reason that I met Dan was... So, I was streaming Pokemon Snap one night, and I was doing runs, and we're having a nice time. And then someone jumps in the chat, and they're like, hey, are you speedrunning Pokemon Snap? I'm like, yeah, I am. And he goes, how do you speedrun Pokemon Snap? I'm like, oh, it's awesome, man. Like, listen, I got all this information. I got all these guide videos. Let me show you everything I know. Like, I want to just indulge you. I want to cover you with all this information, right? And he goes, that's awesome. Thanks, man. And then the next day, he's streaming it, and so it's Danimal Sounds. And I jump into his chat. I'm like, hey, man, you're the guy from last night. Like, he's actually playing it. And he's like, hey, this is kind of awkward. last night I was really drunk, and I just kind of made it to your stream somehow. And I didn't really intend to run Snap, but you were so nice that I decided to give it a try. So that's how I know Dan. I know Dan because he was drunk one night and came into my stream and was trying to meme me, and then I was just too nice to him.
So I have a question about this. So we, as people may or may not know, Drogi, former world record holder and overall European sex pot,
Right.
He and Dan are good friends, right?
Right.
So which came first? Did Dan and the Snap community come first? Or did Drogi and Dan friendship come first?
I believe, if I know my history well enough, I believe that Drogi and Dan met through Pokemon Snap.
You are responsible for the greatest Twitch bromance to ever be fostered.
Yep.
You are... CC is the host of the Match show. CC should be doing ads for Match.com.
Indeed. Sponsors.
CC Harmony.
That's perfect.
Oh my god. I don't know how I feel about this run. This run's kind of a road apple, but this interview's absolutely gold.
Yeah.
Nice.
Personally,
hey, one might call it a gold split.
Bazinga.
So, I almost find that when we talk, just have a conversation and not talk about the game, that we're having a much better time.
Yeah, I can buy that. I think there's a mix.
I think this evolved very well. Like, we started talking about the game, and then it kind of went into more personal stuff.
Right.
Because, like, we get the basics out of the way. Like, yeah, I'm going to do, drifting. I'm going to do mini turbos and stuff. And, like, we get all that groundwork covered. And then it just, like, sort of, like, turns into story time. And it flows very well.
Yeah.
It's nice. But actually, before we started the interview, you mentioned that you need sound in order to run this game, right?
I personally do.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I mentioned I have a story. And in elementary school, me and my friend, we signed up for the science fair. And the experiment we did was, does sound affect your ability to play video games? And like, looking back, it was mostly his older sister that did the work, but like, we were still like capturing data and stuff.
I mean,
and,
that's a science fair in a nutshell, right? It's like getting somebody older than you to do the project for you.
but anyway, we chose Super Smash Brothers, the original N64 one.
Right.
I think Melee just came out. This was like, because Melee came out like around Christmas
His older
time.
sister was gay?
What?
What?
You said Melee came out. What?
No, Melee. The game, Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he had an older sister named Melee. I was like, you really want to out this person on the internet? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. But anyways, so yeah, we were doing Smash Brothers, and what we would do is we had my friend's cousins play the game, and we would make them do the campaign mode or classic mode or however you want to call it, and we'd make them do 2 playthroughs, one with sound and one without sound. And our data concluded that playing with sound definitely improves your performance in video games. And we took home first place.
So that's really interesting, because I have a different viewpoint that I like to share with you.
Uh-huh.
Not a viewpoint, a different experience. This started off really good, and Mario is in 3rd place with a star.
Oof.
Okay, so when I was living with my parents, when I was in high school, my room was beneath theirs, right? Not directly, but like downstairs, and like kind of like part of my roof overlapped with their room. And so for whatever reason, sound would carry super well into that one area of the room, which is also where their bed was. So when I was a delinquent in the summertime, that was impressive even for me. When it would be in the summertime, I couldn't play with the sound on late. So I got used to playing video games without sound on.
So you just sort of adapted to it.
Yeah. But even now, like this, and the reason I can't do it is because I need the sound of the cart to help remind me how long I've been doing a mini turbo if I have to hold it. Right. But also, like, if there's, like, someone coming up with me, whatever. Just in general, the music in this game is helpful for me. And I need music for speedrunning almost everything. Like, that's a me personal experience. But if I'm doing, like, an FPS, I actually play with subtitles and no sound. Overwatch, I play with sound because you kind of have to. They, like, make sound cues a part of the experience. But, like, most of the games that I played on the 360, I played with no sound. That was so close.
Oh, that was really close.
It was, like, aggravating. And now I'm stuck in the boat.
Oh.
No, but I remember, like...
What the fuck was that? I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Go ahead, Squiggy.
No, but I remember when I was like a kid and I was over at my friend's house, he'd be like, hey, I gotta turn down the TV because this part's really crazy. And like, I gotta focus and stuff. And so I think that's what kind of like spawned the experiment. But after like, considering it over the years and definitely for a speedrunning circumstance, I think sound is necessary. Just because you have to get into the rhythm of it. And for example, in like Mario 64, I take a lot of my cues from sound, from like the Yahoos and stuff.
Yeah.
And like if I didn't have that, then I don't think... or like for example, Pokemon Snap, right? You on beach, I always like hear the Doduo before taking the Meowth. And there's like specific things like that, but I think just like hearing the music and stuff really helps you stay in rhythm and like keep you focused.
For Snap in particular, like that, you can't really speedrun that without sound. I mean, I guess you can, but you shouldn't. There's a lot of little cues in that game that make that run easier. That like you should definitely like consider. And actually, I've been experiencing this more recently as I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm not really gonna be the next great video game player, right? Like that's not my calling in life. I've resigned myself to the fact that I might be a teacher, and I might like know more than I'm able to do, and that's like might be like my direction.
That feeling. Yeah.
Well, you're a very meticulous note taker, and you're also a good communicator. Well, for the most part.
I am really, really good at painting very strong visuals.
Yes. I will agree with that wholeheartedly.
But most of the time when I speak, my language is flawed.
Okay.
No, I definitely share that sentiment because I'm a teacher, a guitar teacher. And so I feel like I definitely have more of a knack to explain something rather than perform it. Like I feel like I could teach someone how to like speedrun Mario, for example, way better than I could perform it.
Oh, absolutely.
But I try not to have that stop me from like actually trying to improve in the game. But it's one thing to know what to do and another thing to have the ability to do it. And the patience.
I wholeheartedly agree.
And that's like just something that, I kind of have to like tell myself whenever, I'm speedrunning is like I kind of have to teach myself as I'm doing it, like pace myself, make sure that I'm like, thinking about all the possibilities, like am I doing this effectively? Have I spent enough time focusing on this one aspect of the game? Like just until recently, I figured out what a speed kick is, which is really embarrassing because that's like basic Mario speedrunning knowledge. And oof.
Is this a skip or no skip?
That is not considered a skip, but you can basically jump onto that little section of the track, and I figured I would risk it for the biscuit because I have nothing else. I have nothing to lose. But go ahead. Um, no,
Yeah.
no, that's definitely something that I've encountered.
Oh,
Oof.
When I helped CC make the Pokemon Snap World Record History video, right?
right.
And my, CC at one point was like, CJ, you can't keep being upset about the fact that people don't credit you when your name's not on the video. But one of the things that it wasn't that part of it that bummed me out. The part that bummed me out was that CC's always been a respected Snap historian, right? Partially because he was the one that decided that Snap was worthy of having a record kept history, right? In a lot of cases. So it's like, you don't need a library card when you built the library, bruh, right?
Right.
But despite the fact that I worked really hard on that video and like helped you write the script, right? That was at least 50-50 on the script.
No, I agree.
And I didn't do a lot of the research because you already knew it. But I feel like I don't get any credit about being a Snap knower doer, if that makes sense.
Okay, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, you still worked on it, and you still put a lot of effort into that, and then no one sort of acknowledges you as, like, the other Snap historian guy.
Yeah, like, and I get why they don't. Like, we all know somebody who is very, like, defensive about his speedrunning, right? And he never takes speedrunning Pokemon Snap advice from me ever, right?
Right.
And I get it, because I have a worse time than him. So it's like, if I knew it, why don't I just do it? But that's my experience that I'm encountering, is it's like Squid said. It's much easier for me to explain to somebody how to do it than it is for me to do it. I don't want to use that as an excuse not to try, but I'm just trying to, like, get myself to a place mentally where that's not, like, a bad thing,
Yeah.
I don't want that to hold me back.
And in a
basically.
position like this, you need to have like some humility, because you have to kind of expect and accept that you're not gonna get like all the credit that you think you deserve. And
Oh, for
like
sure.
it's unfortunate that it is like that, but people will always like credit the face and not like the people behind the scenes. Like, if you watch a movie, you'll hear people praising the actors or the directors, but there were like hundreds of other people.
Right. The
Like,
credit list is very long on those movies.
Right. And their responsibilities were enormous, but they never get any credit, they never get any recognition. Right? Or they do, but if they do, it's nothing compared to like the face of the movie.
Not to flip the interview around and ask you a question, but I'm going to ask you a question.
Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're in a band, right, Squid?
Yes.
That's not revealing anything.
No.
Do you feel, and are you, like, do you feel like that way, like, with people in your band, like, that someone gets, like, more credit than you do? Or, like, you get more credit than other people?
There's definitely times where maybe it's not necessarily credit, but like I'll be criticized about something, that the others wouldn't be criticized about. Just because for some reason or another I'm expected, to do something a particular way.
Okay.
Like, for example, like being timely. Like, my band, like, sorry guys, like, they'll be late pretty much every practice. Shows they're running behind, like, not everybody, and some are, worse than others about it. But if I, like, miss a practice or, like, show up late, I feel like I get scrutinized heavily for whatever reason.
Right.
And like, to me, it's just like, like, it's not fair. but at the same time, like, I try not to make a big deal out of it. I'm just like, all right, whatever, you know.
Right.
That's how you feel, like, cool. Like, I don't, like, give it back to them, you know, whenever they do it. It's just like, if it makes you feel better, you know, whatever.
Well,
like,
you have
I'm not
like,
gonna hinder the atmosphere, or I'm not gonna, like, you know, make a ruckus about something that's really not that important.
well, you have like a total zen thing about you, dude. Like you're like growing
Yeah.
tea leaves and shit.
Yeah. Like, it's like, throughout my life, I've just, like, you know, I was a very ragey kid, and I just sort of, like, at some point realized that it doesn't get anywhere.
No,
Doesn't help in any situation. So, like, I kind of had to develop this personality that's like, you know, take things as they come and do what you can when you can, and just, like, live life and try not to worry about it too much, even though there's plenty to worry about, and it can get, you know, overwhelming at points. But
I have a real admiration for that you have the ability to do that, because I know how angry I get, and like that has never been something that I've excelled at. Like, okay,
it's difficult. Like, it's not easy, you know, to, like, hold back, but with practice, like, you sort of get used to it. I mean, there's still moments where, like, especially running Mario 64, because fuck that game, it's ridiculous. But, like, you just eventually sort of get used to it, and it might be because of, like, my innate personality, I guess, that I'm able to do something like this. But it's been definitely, like, a work in progress, and something that I've been trying to maintain and nourish.
I think the part of me that lets me speedrun is the part of me that wishes that I could still be an athlete. You know,
Like,
I had to
yeah,
make
yeah.
I had to make a decision in my life to give up sports and athletics because I was having too many concussions, right? And like we didn't know. Everyone says we didn't know better. It's like we kind of knew, you know. Everyone says, "Oh, we didn't know." We definitely knew. I didn't rehab my left leg, well enough when I hurt it, when I tore my ACL. Now it's like perpetually sore. You know, I didn't take care of myself. And in high school, they were like, you have to stop. You can't play sports anymore. You can't box anymore. You can't do these things anymore. And I was like, what should I do? And they were like, I don't know, try reading or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, they were like,
it's
they were
so
like,
not helpful.
video games, reading, they were like, try something, right?
Oh,
And so I had to make a change in my life. School was always easy for me. Like,
yeah,
I just showed up, and if I was there, I retained the information.
I'm the
Yeah.
same
So
way.
Same way, yeah.
but I was never an academic, right? I wasn't a smart kid. I just knew the information, right? So I could access that information, but I wouldn't say that I was like a real smart kid, right? I just was really good at school, for whatever reason. Whatever that lets me be good at school, that's what that was. But I had to find something in my life to help bring balance so that I could control some of these up and down things. And one of the things that I found really gives me that feeling, there's nothing close to, you know, getting in a ring and beating the bejesus out of somebody else. Like, there's really nothing. I'm not going to say, like, you know, Artie Lang has a great joke. He says, you know, when I quit heroin, my gym instructor told me running was like, a runner's high was just like heroin. And he's like, have you tried heroin? So there really isn't anything like, you know, getting into a ring with like getting your like body and mind ready to like
It's its own
fight somebody
experience.
else. But this gives me something like close. Like I'm competing with other people. People actually take this seriously. People care about the rules. People protect the rules. Like even if it's like, you know, even if it's a gathering of nerds playing this game on a CRT monitor in a hotel in Minnesota, like
It's very
that's what
specific.
it is. That's what it is, you know? But people take it seriously, and it's organized, and there are rules, and it's what I really, like, crave about it. That's what I really like about it. So this is a 46-23. I'm plus 223 on PB. overall, this is a pretty bad run, but I did say 5 seconds on Rainbow Road, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, that seemed like a solid Rainbow Road.
The Rainbow Road was the only part of the run that was solid, except for when I saved 0.5 seconds on Choco Mountain, and that was a balanced PB. So my actual PB, would have been plus 3.5 minutes over. So, but I was actually still in it until Toadstool Turnpike. Like I was still in the mix until then. Well, it's not too bad.
It's all good. Personally, I think that the speedrun in the background is like a vehicle, just for us to have a
Hey, golf swing.
slice. So yeah, but I think it's a good sort of a way for us to gather and chat and talk about stuff.
Yeah.
But but honestly, it's like kind of in the background. It's kind of the thing that we're just doing while we're having a nice conversation, and that's why usually I'm like, it doesn't really matter. You didn't PB. You lost 2 minutes. Oh well. Such is life.
3 minutes.
You lost 3 minutes.
And I got second. That's probably the thing that I'm most upset about is I got second.
Well, that was just for that last cup, right?
Yeah. You don't actually have to win. You just have to get a high enough position to advance to the next cup.
Is that just top 3?
Top 4.
Top 4. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's like 50-50, to be honest. I mean, it's better than that, but kind of.
Yeah. But like what you said about, that like speed running feels like that void that, like that you can't box anymore. Like for me, it like I always wanted to be good at video games. But inherently I never was, and like I always wanted to be good, but I just wasn't. And like what speedrunning has done is like given me a way to like get better and to like see progress and to make me get that feeling I was like searching for when playing games, and it's really
I've said it on stream before, but one of the things that I think is really great in your life is having something where you are trying to better yourself at, like all the time. Like you should always be working on something to improve, because the idea of like practice and trying and failing and succeeding, like that struggle is something that I think is innate in humans, that we're supposed to struggle, and that when things get easy and that you're not challenging yourself, you're decaying in some way.
Right. It's developing discipline.
Right.
It's really decaying is a strong word.
Decaying is a strong word, but you're stagnating. You know what I mean?
It sounds like the lyrics of like a Linkin Park song.
Probably. Crawling in
my decay.
Crawling in my speed
my
run.
wounds, they will not stagnate. I don't know. No, dude. Like this was really fun. Like I said, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah,
thanks for being on.
us.
Yeah. You have any last things you want to say or you want to know?
We were on the topic of being rage monsters, and I was definitely that kid. I broke a couple of controllers and headsets and other things from gaming, and definitely made an ass of myself on Xbox Live and stuff. And I had to make a conscious decision of like, I am breaking things. No one wants to be around this guy. Like, that guy sucks. Nobody likes that guy. So don't be that guy. So I catch myself, like, when I get frustrated, I like hold my controller, I'm about to throw it. I'm like, Cameron, this is expensive. Please place it down. Please take your aggression out somewhere else, And
I've definitely had a moment like that yesterday.
where it's a constant thing. It's not something that went away. It's something that I have to.
You have to keep it under control.
Exactly. There's a monster in there. And
instead of throwing my controller, I just punched my mattress a few times.
There you go.
I gotta say, it is one of the nice benefits of having boxing gloves and a punching bag. It's like, all right, I am just gonna go hit the bag for a little while.
Yep.
The bag has no feelings. It's an item that is in my house designed to be punched.
Exactly.
And these are things that'll make it so I don't break every bone in my hand.
There you go.
But yeah,
All right.
This
Once
is
again,
the end. It
this
says
is the end. So
This
that's
is
the
it.
perfect place to wrap up here. CJ, thanks so much for coming on. You're gonna have to listen to this while you edit it and put it out because you're our producer.
Yeah, spoiler alert at the end. I actually own this show.
But hey, on that note, shout out to the streamer group and to CJ It's
Shout
All
out.
Good for
Shout out to Danimal Sounds.
to
We talked about him
Danimal
for like
Sounds.
the entire Star
yeah.
Cup.
Yeah, Dan's a cool
And
guy.
Drogi.
and shout out to my co-host CC Neverender,
Hell yeah, and my co-host Squidward,
Squidward.
Squidbird.
Shout out to, I know you're listening, shout out to Worcester.
Haha, maybe one day he'll understand what this meme means.
Shout out to Siglemic.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Andrew G 1990.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Peace.